There is something growing in your bathroom right now. You cannot see it. You cannot smell it. But every single morning, the moment you step out of your shower, you walk directly through it. Barefoot, wet, completely unguarded. And that thing, that invisible, patient, ancient organism, is the reason your fungal infection never fully goes away. Not because the cream failed, not because your immune system is weak, not because you're somehow doing the treatment wrong, because you keep going back. Welcome to QuickSecret, where the answers hiding in plain sight finally get spoken out loud. Let's start with something that will make your stomach drop. Right now, somewhere between 8 and 10% of the entire global population has an active fungal nail infection. That is not a rounding error. That is hundreds of millions of people walking around with yellowed, thickened, crumbling nails who have tried creams, tried pills, tried expensive dermatologist visits, and watched the infection return like it never left. What if every single one of them was being treated for the wrong thing? Not misdiagnosed. The infection is real. The fungus is real. But the location being treated? That is not where the fungus actually lives. Your nail is not the source of the problem. Your nail is just the wall where the graffiti shows up. And while every cream, every prescription, every laser session targets that wall, the person spraying the graffiti is still out there, unseen, untouched, doing what they have been doing for months, maybe years, and they live in your bathroom floor. To understand why this is happening to you, we need to go back to a discovery that got buried so deep in medical history, most people alive today have never heard of it. In the late 1800s, researchers across Europe began cataloging something alarming. Certain microscopic organisms were not behaving like normal pathogens. They were not dying when they left the human body. They were not fading away in open air. They were not killed by ordinary soap. These organisms, a family of fungi collectively known as dermatophytes, had evolved over millions of years to do exactly one thing with extraordinary precision: consume keratin, the protein that makes up your skin, your hair, your nails. And they were built to survive the wait between meals. Early lab documentation showed dermatophyte spores surviving on shed skin cells at room temperature for periods that shocked researchers. Months, not days, not weeks. Months of dormancy, lying completely still in the microscopic crevices of surfaces, waiting for one specific signal to wake up again. Warm, wet, bare skin. That is their alarm clock. The research was published. The findings were documented. And then, quietly, they sat on library shelves while an entire industry built itself around treating the nail and only the nail. Now let's talk about your bathroom floor, because most people, when they picture a clean bathroom floor, picture the tile, the shiny, smooth surface they mop every weekend, the one that looks clean because it reflects light and has no visible debris. But there is another surface on that floor that nobody talks about, one that does not shine, one that absorbs rather than reflects, one made of porous cement and sand composite that, under even moderate magnification, looks like a lunar landscape of craters, ridges, and deep, narrow valleys. The grout. That gray or white or off-white material filling every seam between your tiles. That porous, rough, non-sealed material running in a grid across the surface your bare feet touch every single day. Here's what grout actually is, chemically. It is a mixture of cement, sand, and water, hardened into a semi-permeable solid. Its surface is not smooth. It is riddled with microscopic channels and cavities that do exactly what cement and sand do in nature: absorb liquid, trap organic particles, and hold moisture long after the visible surface has dried. Every time you shower, that grout absorbs steam, water, shed skin cells, soap residue, and any other organic material sitting on your bathroom floor. It pulls all of that inward, and it holds it. A standard mop does not reach into those cavities. A standard bathroom cleaner does not penetrate that depth. The product that makes your tiles sparkle is doing nothing, literally nothing, to the ecosystem 1 to 2 millimeters below the surface. And that ecosystem? If you have had a fungal infection in the last 2 years, it is not empty. Here is the mechanism that no prescription bottle ever mentions on its label. When you take a hot shower, your feet undergo a very specific set of biological changes that make them, for a brief window of time, maximally vulnerable to fungal attachment. The heat softens the outermost protective layer of your skin. The water opens your pores wide. The soap dissolves the natural oil barrier that normally acts as your skin's first line of defense. You step out of that shower in the most unprotected state your feet will be in all day: soft, wet, open, stripped of their natural armor. And you place them directly onto a surface that, for months or years, has been hosting a colony of organisms whose entire evolutionary purpose is to attach to exactly that kind of skin at exactly that kind of moment. Within minutes, the dermatophytes adhere. Within hours, they begin germinating, extending microscopic filaments beneath the nail plate. Within days, a new colony establishes itself in the exact same tissue that your last round of treatment just finished clearing. From zero, as if you never treated it at all. This is not a theory. Peer-reviewed research examining household transmission patterns across multiple international studies found active fungal contamination in nearly half of households where one person had a confirmed infection. And the primary vector was not physical contact between family members, it was the shared bathroom floor. This is the loop nobody closes. And this is exactly the kind of suppressed truth that we dig up here on QuickSecret. Let's look at who profits from that loop staying open. The global antifungal market is worth tens of billions of dollars annually. That is not a small number. That is a number that employs lobbyists, funds research grants, sponsors dermatology conferences, and shapes the clinical guidelines that determine what your doctor tells you in a 15-minute appointment. Consider what a single course of prescription topical nail treatment actually costs. A small applicator bottle of a brand name antifungal solution, the kind prescribed by dermatologists as a standard first or second line treatment, can retail for over $1,000 without insurance coverage. A complete course requires multiple bottles over nearly a full year. The clinical cure rates for these topical solutions, even under ideal conditions in controlled trials, hover between 15 and 18%, meaning more than 8 out of 10 patients finish an expensive, months-long course and still have the fungus. Now look at why. If the bathroom floor is never treated, if the grout is never decontaminated, the topical cream is doing exactly what it is designed to do. It is clearing the nail, it is not clearing the source. So the moment treatment ends and the patient returns to their shower routine, the reinfection clock starts again and the prescription gets renewed. Oral antifungal medications improve the cure rate significantly, but they carry risks: liver stress, drug interactions, blood monitoring requirements that make them inaccessible to elderly patients, people with existing liver conditions, and anyone whose doctor decides the risk-benefit calculation does not favor the prescription. And even among patients who complete oral treatment successfully, long-term follow-up studies show a steep recurrence curve peaking around the 3-year mark. 3 years later, the same toenail, the same infection, because the floor never got treated. Here's the part that should make you genuinely angry. This is not hidden in some classified database. The survival data on dermatophyte spores on environmental surfaces has been published in government pathogen safety documentation. The household surface transmission research has been in peer-reviewed journals for decades. The connection between contaminated bathroom environments and chronic nail fungus reinfection is documented, cited, and cross-referenced across multiple fields of research. But it never makes it from the journal to the clinic, never makes it from the clinic to your ears. Because the chain of profit that runs from pharmaceutical manufacturer to pharmacy benefit manager to dermatology practice has no financial incentive to put a $2 bottle at the center of the conversation. You cannot build a recurring prescription model around hydrogen peroxide. You cannot create a monthly auto refill subscription around rubber shower sandals. You cannot run a clinical trial proving the efficacy of scrubbing grout lines because no company will spend the millions of dollars required to submit that data to a regulatory agency for an ingredient they do not own. So instead, the nail gets treated again and again and again, and the bathroom floor keeps waiting. Now let's close the loop. Everything you're about to hear costs less than the copay on most dermatologist appointments. The active ingredient in your decontamination protocol is 3% hydrogen peroxide, the standard brown bottle, available at every pharmacy and dollar store in the country for approximately $2. Here is exactly what you do and why each step matters. Clear your bathroom floor completely. Remove the bath mat, the scale, any baskets, any items sitting on the tile. You need unobstructed access to every grout line on that floor. Pour the hydrogen peroxide generously across the entire floor, concentrating particularly on the shower or tub area, the drain surround, the base of the toilet, and every wall-to-floor seam in the room. These are the areas with the highest moisture accumulation and the most established fungal colonization. Let it sit. Do not wipe it. Do not rinse it. Give it 15 to 20 minutes of uninterrupted contact time. The chemistry matters here. Hydrogen peroxide at 3% concentration releases reactive oxygen molecules on contact with organic material. Those molecules physically disrupt the cell walls of fungal organisms, not just on the surface, but in the porous substrate below it. Both active colonies and dormant spores are vulnerable to oxidative disruption in a way they are not vulnerable to standard soap-based cleaning agents. After the contact time, take a stiff bristled brush, an old toothbrush works perfectly for narrow grout lines, and scrub with firm, deliberate pressure into every seam. You're not scrubbing the tile surface. You are working the oxidizing agent into the cavities and microchannels inside the grout where the colony has been living undisturbed. Rinse thoroughly with hot water. Then dry the floor completely. Fan, open window, dry towel, whatever it takes. Do not leave residual moisture. Residual moisture is recolonization. Run this protocol once per week for the first 4 weeks. After that, every 2 weeks, as ongoing maintenance. The second front is your bath mat, A bath mat that stays damp for 12 hours between uses is not a cleaning tool. It is an incubator. Wash it weekly in water, heated to at least 60 degrees Celsius. Add a tablespoon of baking soda to the wash cycle. If the mat is thick cotton that takes a full day to dry, replace it with a fast-drying synthetic material. The drying time is not a comfort issue. It is a biological one. The third and most important habit change requires a $3 purchase. Buy rubber shower sandals. Put them directly outside your shower door or at the edge of your bathtub. The moment your feet leave the water stream, they go into those sandals. They do not touch the bare floor, not while wet, not while your skin is soft and your pores are open. This single habit eliminates the primary reinfection window. The entire exposure mechanism depends on wet, unprotected skin making contact with contaminated surface. Remove the contact, and the cycle has nowhere to restart. After sandals, dry your feet completely, every toe space. That is where moisture traps spores longest. Finish with a light application of diluted white vinegar. 1 part vinegar, 1 part water in a small spray bottle. The mild acidity creates a surface environment on your skin that makes initial dermatophyte adhesion significantly more difficult. Total cost for the complete initial setup, under $10. Ongoing monthly cost, $2 to $3. This is where I need to speak to you directly, not as a narrator, but as someone who takes your health seriously. If your infection is deep, if the nail is structurally destroyed, if you have diabetes, a compromised immune system, or any condition that impairs circulation or immune response, none of what I just described replaces proper medical evaluation. Hydrogen peroxide on a floor does not treat a systemic infection. It does not replace oral antifungal medication when the situation medically requires it. What it does is close the loop that medical treatment consistently leaves open. It addresses the reservoir, not just the symptom. And for the millions of people whose nails clear up with treatment only to re-yellow months later, the missing piece is almost never the medication. The missing piece is the thing nobody told them to do, the thing no one in the chain of medical commerce profits from explaining. Clean the floor. Protect the feet leaving the shower. Eliminate the reinfection window. Let me tell you about a situation that is more common than anyone in the medical field will publicly admit. Imagine a person, let us say they are in their mid-40s, who has been fighting nail fungus on and off for 11 years. They went through over-the-counter creams, 3 different dermatologists, 2 full courses of oral medication, including the blood monitoring, a laser treatment session that cost $800. Every time, the nail improved. Every time, within a year, it returned. Nothing about their treatment history was wrong. The diagnoses were accurate. The medications were clinically appropriate. The treatment courses were completed correctly. But they showered in the same bathroom every morning. They stepped onto the same bath mat. They walked on the same grout lines and the same bare feet for 11 years. The source was never touched. When they finally treated the floor, the actual reservoir, and changed the shower exit routine, the cycle stopped. Not because of a new drug, not because of a better cream, because the loop was finally closed. The infection was never coming from inside their body spontaneously. It was always being reintroduced from the same contaminated surface, day after day, in the same 15-second window between stepping out of the shower and putting on socks. 11 years, 1 environmental change. The difference. Here's the realization I want to leave you with. You were not failing at treating your fungal infection. The system around you was succeeding at something else. It was succeeding at keeping you in a treatment cycle that it could monetize indefinitely by making sure you never heard the one sentence that would break it. Clean your bathroom floor and protect your feet when they're wet. That sentence costs the industry nothing to say. And that is exactly why no one said it. The knowledge was always there. It was in the journals. It was in the epidemiological studies. It was in the pathogen safety databases that government agencies publish for laboratory biosafety workers. It existed, documented and cross-referenced, waiting for someone to connect the dots and say them out loud. We connect those dots here, every single week, on QuickSecret. This is your moment of control. Tonight, before you go to sleep, go to your bathroom. Pull up the bath mat. Look at the grout lines running along the shower drain. Press a cotton swab into one of them and look at what comes up. That is what you have been stepping on every morning. Starting this week, that changes. $2 and a toothbrush, a $3 pair of rubber sandals, a changed habit that takes 30 seconds, and the loop that has cost some people thousands of dollars across years of treatment, closed. That is what suppressed knowledge looks like when it finally makes it to the right ears. Simple, cheap, powerful, and invisible for so long that finding it feels like discovering a door that was never locked. If this opens something in you today, share this video with someone who has been in that treatment loop for years. They deserve to hear this. And subscribe to QuickSecret, because what we are uncovering next goes somewhere most people are completely unprepared for. The next vault is already waiting, and what is inside it will change how you see something you do every single day.